What's up everyone, this is Q from RetroQ Gaming, and this video will probably be a little bit longer as usual because why the hell not. So I'm going to give some examples in this video, and I will clarify in the individual instances about which parts I do actually believe in and which are examples based on hyperbole, basically. So we all know, or well, I'll list out what we don't anyway, but as far as most people should probably know these days, when we have things like SOPA and all that trying to be passed, we also have the new, well, I say we, but just people in general, the new Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP, basically. So it's essentially, in a nutshell, it's a licensing style agreement where let's say I create a character, or I create a series and it's trademarked and it all belongs to me essentially. So usually if say someone was making like a fan version of it or their own thing of it, or making comics or anything of it themselves, usually if someone else reported that to a licensing board or a trademark board or copyright infringement board, nothing could be done about it and it would just continue going on unless I personally, because I held the rights to it as a creator and rights holder, unless I personally made the complaint, it would continue on business as usual. So the difference between the Trans-Pacific Partnership and what we have now is that anyone could make the claim against it. So basically, I could have the same series and all that kind of thing, and maybe someone who I've never met is in some flea market in a country I've never been to, and they see someone who has made their own fan versions, like maybe fan comics or something. They can write and complain to like some sort of licensing board, and obviously it gets stepped in, and despite me, the licensing holder, not having done anything about it. That's the general gist of it. Now it's obviously far more detailed and intricate and covers a lot more, but that's the whole, the general aspect of it that I'm pointing to in this video. So the reason why I thought about this, I was thinking about this last night, and I did some research on it in the middle of the night once I woke up for a little bit, and get a little bit this morning, and it came. I kind of, I won't say confirmed my original thoughts on it last night, but it laid out the groundwork for what could potentially happen, which again will link back to something like, say, remember SOPA when that was trying to be passed. What they basically said in that situation was, if you were, say, making a blog or a vlog, and maybe you accidentally had like a can of Coke or something in the background, for a split second, just in passing, you weren't advertising or mentioning it, like literally you could just see it for a split second as you were turning, Coca-Cola could claim on that, and that was obviously hyperbolic, but that was what it could potentially lead to given the wording and the laws in those agreements. So it's the same thing in the Trans-Pacific Partnership that I just mentioned, that what would basically, it's not what would happen exactly, but it starts us off on the path to that kind of stuff. So a perfect example, before I get into why I was thinking of it all, another perfect example would be a Japanese event every year called Comiket. Now, Comiket is basically, it's this massive event and convention where essentially you have thousands of individual artists and individual writers, and they all self-publish their own manga, and I can never pronounce the word properly, so I won't even try, but it begins with a D, and I'll never, like I said, I'm not going to mispronounce it, but that's what they're called essentially, and it means that they are fan-made versions of said series and said characters and all. So they'll come up with their own storylines. Usually they'll follow a similar artwork to the official stuff. So there have been cases where they just do their own artwork completely. But the main thing is this is an event that draws an exceptional amount of people. And all these people are selling what are essentially other people's creations, but their own variants on it. Now, all the comic makers and the manga makers and anime makers in Japan, as well as other countries, they know about this, and they don't do anything about it, and they choose not to do anything about it. They choose to let it exist, which is brilliant. I wholly agree with that. Completely agree. I mean, if you can argue that the argument I have for it is the people who hold the rights obviously know what they want to do and don't want to do with the comic or the series or the characters, whatever. And if they know what they do and don't want to do, and if other people want to go ahead and do those things that they don't want to do, they have the ability to do it. Now, yeah, of course, at the same time, the people who own the rights, like the manga makers and the manga studios and the anime studios, they do still retain the right to step in at any time if they want. But they don't, because they know the difference. It gives them free press as well, because you could go to, say, a Comic-Con or one of these types of conventions, pick up some random thing that you've never heard of that you look through because it looks cool, and then you start getting interested in the characters, and you start getting interested in the universe and the settings, and then maybe you progress on to some of the official stuff. So they're still getting their publicity, they're still getting their brand recognition at the same time. So they realize that it's not in their best interest to just completely lock everyone out. Now, onto where I got my thought process, and onto the reason why I thought about this last night and this morning and did some research on it, is because of the wording and all the the wording and the terminology, and essentially what it could lead down the path to. Is I was at MCM Ireland Comic Con yesterday, and naturally, as with any convention, there is a shitload of cosplay. I'm a big fan of cosplay, both online and in real life. Personally, I don't have the skills to make my own cosplay. I'm very not crafty, if you will. But yeah, I wish I did, but I just don't. But I really enjoy other people's cosplay, both, like I said, in real life and online. The fact that they can express and feel so connected to a character or something to do with a character that they want to dress up as them. That's brilliant. I love cosplay for so many reasons. I'm not going to sit here talking about that for like 20 more minutes because I could, and that'll just be boring. But that's essentially it. There was obviously a lot of cosplay there yesterday, and with some of the stuff I was thinking about last night, is like, what could what would happen, or what could happen that could stop cosplay? Because that would be huge to stop that kind of thing. It's a market that creates a crap load of money. Now, people would say, oh, it doesn't make that much money. When you think about all the people that go out, there are literally hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people that cosplay worldwide, if not tens of millions, or maybe even hundreds of millions. But these people all go out. Some of them buy pre-made costumes. Some of them buy all the materials and make all the costumes themselves. There have been cases that you read all these stories and all online about how people will actually, say, go to college to get, say, like a seamstress degree or sewing skills, or they'll take a course to get skills on. Those are people that are fueling the economy, in a sense, through their own passion for what they're doing in their own life and what they want to do as a hobby. So yeah, that's obviously making a shitload of money. Let's say, for example, 10 million people cosplaying around the entire world. They all have to get their supplies and their skills, possibly, because obviously some people are just naturally talented at that kind of stuff. So they have to get their supplies or their costumes or their skills and talents, from somewhere. So that's all money. Now, why I thought about all this essentially was because of the Trans-Pacific Partnership, the TPP. No, not the Phantom Pain, the actual TPP. Well, depends on which way you look at it. I would consider Phantom Pain the real TPP myself, but anyway, because of all the licensing issues and what would essentially be rights holding issues and all like that, if the Trans-Pacific Partnership Agreement was to actually pass, it would lead us on, like I said, it put down the framework and the foundation, and could lead us on the path, because of all the licenses and the broad coverage and stuff, to actually make cosplay potentially illegal. Now, I realize you say potentially illegal. The reason for that is because while you may be cosplaying as a character from whatever TV show or anime or movie or comic or whatever you want to cosplay as, go ahead, do it. While you may be cosplaying as those, obviously for a non-profit thing, because, I mean, if you're just dressing up in cosplay to go to a convention just as an attendee in cosplay, you're obviously not doing it for profit. You're doing it for your own personal fun and enjoyment and your expression of your appreciation for the character. So that it really hurts to know that companies, or not even companies, because don't forget other individual like people and complaints can be made under the TPP, that basically would prevent this. And is this a worst case scenario? Yes it is. This is the worst case scenario, but the reason why I bring it up and I make a video about it is because of the way the world works. I mean, we all know we live in a fairly dystopian society, despite what some people will tell you, is that it would not surprise me if once these companies had the ability to do such a thing, that they would actually start actively pursuing it, because they can probably figure some way around it. They can probably figure that the only way to say get around the licensing issues with cosplay and all would be to, this is just a perfect example, well, not a perfect example, but this is just an example off the top of my head as one way around it, that the only way to get around it would be if you purchased and used an officially licensed cosplay outfit from, obviously developed by the actual manufacturer and the actual rights holder, which obviously gives them money, and it essentially grants you the license to use whatever cosplay as thing because it's officially licensed. Now, let's hope it never gets to that. Let's hope this TPP doesn't even pass, to be honest. Now, it doesn't really affect me in this part of the world, but like I said, it's just because it doesn't affect me, I'm not completely oblivious to it. I'm a fan, like these people that do cosplay obviously are, and I would hate to see their ability to cosplay to be taken away, and their ability to show their appreciation for characters or series taken away because of what is essentially greed. So that's why I really hope, not only does it doesn't pass, that I really hope that it doesn't pass. That's the best way I can describe it, because I mean, why? That's just it's so, I don't know what the word is. Dystopian's not even the word for that. It's so controlling and oppressing. That's probably the best way of describing it. It's really disheartening that companies and brands and manufacturers and all could potentially be given this right to openly abuse it. I mean, okay, fair enough. There are some like world-class cosplay competitions and stuff like that, which is, no, don't forget, cosplay, people that are just cosplaying randomly, people that are entering into competitions, people that are getting like highly renowned worldwide over their extremely successful cosplay. This is still all marketing at the, now it's not official marketing, but the brand and the company itself are still getting a bit of publicity because of it. Because, for example, you could see this badass cosplay at a convention that you have never seen the character before. You go up and you ask the person, like, I love your costume, what's it from? Who are you? And they tell you. You go home, you start looking up this character, you start looking up what they're about, you start looking up the series they're from, the music from the series, the art style from the series. That's still publicity at the end of the day. So it's still very positive. But it's really disheartening to know that because of greed, basically, that people's freedom of, I hate using the word freedom because I always argue with a bunch of Americans over their misuse of the word, but I don't know, that their freedom to express their love and appreciation for characters or art styles or series or just whatever, just their appreciation in general, that it can be stifled by greed, because that's just harsh as fuck. That's all I can say, and that's something I don't want to see happen. I love cosplay, I love other people's cosplay, I love seeing it, I love enjoying it, I love obviously taking their picture if they don't mind, and just it's great, and it's possibly something I'd love to get into someday if I can ever find a way to work with my hands, which I really can't. That's why I'm a gamer. It's the one thing I'm good at that I can't do with my hands. But anyway, that's basically it. So let's hope it doesn't pass anyway. And if it does affect you in those countries, I really hope it doesn't get to that point if it does pass. So let me know in the comment section below anything and everything to do with anything in this video, basically, be it the licensing stuff, say Comiket style stuff, or the potential outcome that could essentially lead to, I won't say outlawing cosplay, but basically stifling cosplay and stifling people's ability to just express appreciation for that which they love. I know I'd hate that. So let me know all that in the comment section below. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. You can follow me on Twitter. Details in the description below. Thank you for watching. I will see you on the rest of the videos in my channel. And just because I never got around to it, silent cheese.